Hello and welcome to Let's Read RWBY Before the Dawn. I am your host, Raymond McNeil, and along with me today, as always, is Molly Rhymemaster. In the last episode, what exactly happened was it? We discovered there was a mind control semblance at work, and Yatsuhashi discovered he could free himself and others from it. Although he got his ass kicked and basically is unconscious now, so... you know. We'll pick up today. But yes, Molly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I decided to increase my safety protocols, so me and Tiny Weiss both have made the extra effort to socially distance and wear masks, which is why she is 6 inches apart from Tiny Marnie. Since they're smaller, I decided that, maybe the distance doesn't need to be as large.
Yeah, but because Marnie's rebellious, she doesn't actually believe in that, and she's not wearing a mask.
Marnie is from an extremely Anglican Northern English household. They're not wearing masks because nobody goes into Spikemas anyway.
They have faith in God.
Also, the reason Marnie doesn't have a mask is because I made this in like 5 seconds before the stream went live.
Yeah. All right, but yes, what was the last thing that happened? Was it Yatsu passing out? Yeah, Yatsu passing out.
There was blood and someone passed out. I'm not actually wearing this for the stream. I need to save this.
Yeah. So let's see. Chapter 13. If I can go to it. Page count wise. Chapter 13. Where is chapter 13? That's 11. 12. We are over halfway through the book now, which is fun. 13. It's looking like
we can be done before I graduate.
It is a Scarlet chapter by the looks of things, so that's going to be fun.
I don't like Scarlet.
I find fun reading because he's like snarky and British. That's a fun type of line read.
Dad, I want a different stream.
Thanks for the recap, as I'm a little behind on these streams. Yeah, no, it's not a lot's actually happening in this book if you look at the grand total of things. Like, really, it feels like... this feels a very small story. It feels incredibly small, things considered. Even though it's like supposed to be like city-spanning consequences, it feels incredibly truncated to very specific locations. Okay, so ready to get into this, Molly?
Never, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Awesome. Scarlet's gun was out of bullets. So was Coco's. Olive's pike was out of gravity dust. And Reese was down trying to recover some aura. Team Rosk.
Whoa, totally not radical.
Team Rosk was sheltering in a metal skeleton of an old dust mining rig. Most of it was buried deep in the sand, leaving just the apex. Oh wait, I forgot music. Shit. Where is Final Fantasy VII?
Well, I keep getting recommended the Violet Evergarden OST, and I've never seen that show, so that's kind of weird, but you should play it, I guess. I've never listened to it. We could take a roll of the dice.
Nah. Hollow Skies is done as well. It's a good background song. I was kind of quiet on my... where I'm... oh, there we go. Okay. Most of it was buried in the sand, leaving just the apex, a short tower that gave them some protection from the Grim. But it also allowed the Grim to pin them down and surround them. Scarlet borrowed Reese's hoverboard to fly out and hack at the Deathstalker with his sword. But it was slow work, and the Grim kept coming. Meanwhile, Coco fended off the Dromedons in their left flank with nothing but her handbag, her fist, and her bad attitude. Though Olive couldn't manipulate gravity anymore, her weapon's blade had been infused with it, so it always flew back to her when she threw it. This was coming in handy against the Ravager that had just joined the party. By throwing the trusty weapon constantly at the flying creature, she was keeping it at bay and gradually inflicting damage. But it was still too slow, and there would soon be more of them if this dragged on any longer.
Oh, my sunglasses are in the other room.
Oh well.
Any ideas?
Coco shouted. Scarlet coughed. The battle was kicking up a lot of sand, clouding the air around them and making them choke. They'd run out of water hours ago. "We keep fighting," he said. No other choice.
Give me back my board. I
Reese,
still don't have a voice for her.
I mean,
I know she's just Skater Girl, but I'm still deciding on what that is.
yeah. Reese called. Scarlet glanced down and saw her swaying unsteadily, but she was on her feet.
You should keep resting.
Coco yelled.
You aren't the boss of me.
You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to Malcolm in the Middle.
Who are you, my mom? This is so not tubular, Coco.
Eliphas Chaos. Just been your reaction to Land of the Lustrous. Love the show and the manga. It is a wonderful show. I would love to see a season 2, but I don't think we're getting that because Beastars is so popular.
What's Land of Lustrous?
Have you not seen Land of the Lustrous?
No. I watch like 2 anime a year.
Okay, I actually do highly recommend it. It's a very... It sort of feels like, you know, Nier Automata?
Yeah.
Kind of feels like that. It's like same atmosphere where it's like heavy post-apocalypse, but like, and it's not quite humanity. You're following gems. It's like the better version of Steven Universe and way more body horror. It's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Me and my girlfriend watched Unfunny Chicken Run this week, which is what we're calling Promise Neverland. For anyone who's never seen it.
I've not seen it, so I mean... Final Fantasy VII, I demand One-Winged Angel. Nah. The One-Winged Angel in the remake sucked. It was all over the place. It was such a messy song. Which might have been the theme, but like, you know, still. Come on, man. I love the original. Okay. Scarlet jumped off the hoverboard and glided to the Deathstalker's back. He had already managed to hack through most of the Grimm's segmented tail, which dragged behind it in the sand, slowing it down. Its left pincer was cracked and broken. He jabbed his sword downward. As the Deathstalker collapsed, Reese's board zipped back to her. She grabbed it, broke it into 2 pistols, and started firing at the Grimm on their right flank. She flamed Dromedon with the gun in her left hand while icing a second with the gun in her right, and then shooting it, causing it to shatter. Scarlet rejoined his team, eyeing the Ravager in the air nervously.
Where are they all coming from?
Olive asks. We have no idea. We don't even have a voice for Olive. Is Coco.
I'm more interested in what's drawing them to the wastelands.
Coco said.
We're under stress, but that doesn't account for this many Grimm, and they've been encroaching the wastelands for weeks, before we even got here.
You'd think they'd be more attracted to the city, Scarlet said. Way more stressed out people there, plus a school full of hormonal teenagers. Oh my god, someone pointed it out! What the hell? Like, why do you have a bunch of hormonal teenagers in the same place? That seems like a bad idea in this universe. Coco grinned and went back to beating up Grimm. Need some help?
Yes, there is no voice for Olive.
Yeah. Fox's voice intruded on Scarlet's thoughts. He looked around.
Fox?
Coco shouted.
Fox?
Reese and Olive looked confused. It's a thing he does.
It's a thing he does.
Coco and Scarlet said. I brought some friends. Hope there are enough. Hope there are enough Grimm to go around. Scarlet expected to see Yatsuhashi and Velvet, but when Fox arrived, Sage, Nolan, and Octavia were with him. Octavia used her Chris? I guess is that her weapon, I guess? Chris to send a fiery blast at a Ravager at the same time Olive tossed her pike, bringing the Grimm down. Fox tackled a Dromedon that had been bearing down on Reese, whose guns were clicking, out of ammo. Fox hacked at the Dromedon with his Tonfa while Reese reassembled her weapon and used the bladed hoverboard as a melee weapon. I mean, I love the image of, like, what do you use that hoverboard with anyway? And so just the idea of, like, Reese just running around the battlefield, like, using, like, lifting it over her head and just smashing people with it.
The Kris, or Keris, in Indonesian languages, is an Indonesian asymmetrical dagger with distinctive blade pattern. That.
Ah. Yeah. They're good for cutting. They have a distinct cutting strength because of how that shape works. Yeah, Indonesian dagger. We got it. We got it, Izanagi. Thank you. Anime is art. Savior, Bloodstained, Hellfire, Shadow. I'm not sure what you're referencing there. Get on the tail. Get up on the Grimm's back. Thanks, Train Dude. You brought back my Kingdom Hearts 2 PTSD.
Is that just like a shared experience?
I think it is. It's sort of like dance, water, dance.
You see, I've never even played Kingdom Hearts 2, and that makes me unnerved.
What Kingdom Hearts games have you played?
Recoded and Days, and that was a long time ago.
Really? Oh my god! Here I was thinking that you actually like played through the games.
No. You're ridiculous. I did what normal people do. Pulled up an all cutscene stream, watched them, and then every time they said darkness, did a push-up.
So you're ripped.
Now I'm ripped and everyone loves me.
That's actually not a bad idea for a workout regimen. I'm going to have to look into that.
Play Birth by Sleep and do planks every time there's bad voice acting.
Oh, like a plank per word.
Yeah.
Nolan skidded to a halt beside Scarlet and Coco. Special delivery, he said, tossing a bandolier of bullets to Coco. Already charged with fire dust. Coco whooped.
You are my favorite person right now.
She opened her gun and reloaded it. I heard that, Fox sent. I'm the one who brings you ammo, you know. I'm the one who thought to bring you ammo, you know.
You think of everything.
Coco sent. Nolan handed Scarlet a pack of bullets. Just normal bullets for you. Scarlet winked. That's all I needed. Thank you. With Fox, Nolan, and Octavia fresh from the battle, Scarlet, Coco, Reese, and Olive rallied. Together, they managed to make short work of the remaining two jackalopes and the final Deathstalker. I want to know what these like they described them before, but I wonder what they actually look like. I would love to see a depiction of the jackalope. Also, is Olive not like the worst name?
What?
Is Olive not the worst name? It sounds like it's like one of those names that like just doesn't sound right.
Well, I'm glad you think that because I'm going to pull up my handy-dandy Social Security Administration's list of baby names that were given in 2018, and I want to let you know that there were 1,222 baby girls in 2018 named Olive. So get ready for that.
You know, it's kind of impressive that you actually had this on hand for this circumstance. But no, that's I'm
like a little bit obsessed with names, so.
Yeah. What do you think of Pacifica?
I think Gravity Falls, so.
Yeah,
that's just me.
That's the thing, is like, but I like the name because it can be shortened down to Paz, and I like Paz as a name.
You like Paz? Well, it's not on. The Social Security Administration only counts any name that was given 5 times or more to babies in a given calendar year, and that is not on there.
Pacifica?
So that would be. Yeah, that would be
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
It's really fun once you hit like the super rare names. Lilu, 6 babies.
Try Defonquez. It has a Q, by the way.
I figured. I don't see that.
All right. Well, I can be rest assured that that's a name that's never going to get out again. I had a boss.
There were 6 baby girls named Lawrence. So hell for that.
Okay. Just where were we? This is Coco line. After Deathstalker, and the final Deathstalker.
Yeah. How'd you find us?
Coco asked Fox when the teams came together, exhausted. The sky was beginning to lighten as dawn neared. Roll credits. Fox tilted his head. Don't be. Oh, this is Reese.
Don't be so rude, Coco. What you meant to say was thank you.
Reese said.
Gonna just change Reese's voice every time she comes up. Good looking out.
Olive said. Coco gritted her teeth.
I always say what I mean.
She said.
Sure, thanks. What are you doing here? Did Rumple send you?
Well, that's a bit of a story, Fox said to the group of 8. He caught them up on what had been going down since they left Shade Academy. That last update about Velvet and the Mirage was what Coco cared most about.
We have to get to the Mirage. Carmine was heading there. Yeah, Carmine was heading there too.
Not so fast, Fox said. Yatsuashi and Neptune can handle it, but Rumple said that the Crown has another base out here in the Wastelands, so here we are. How do we even find it? Nolan asked. I can detect large groups of people nearby, Fox said.
What?
Reese folded her arms.
You can do what now? In addition to the head talkie thingy?
Fox shrugged. It's an aura thing. I can sense it, even distinguish one person from another if I know them well enough. Oh my God, Sage is a line. It's you. It's you, Brooklyn accent.
So is it exactly? Wait. Hold on. So is it another settlement nearby?
Sage asked, worried. Not exactly, Fox said. He stomped his foot and took a deep breath. Actually, they're beneath us.
Seriously?
Coco tossed up her hands.
I know how this goes. I've noticed there's a strong CCT signal here, too.
Olive said. She held up her scroll.
But it's encrypted, which is why we couldn't call for help. Backup.
Coco corrected her. Olive rolled her eyes.
Whatever, it's strongest right here, where we're standing.
Octavia looked up at the mining rig looming over their heads.
Oh, gosh, Octavia's alive, too. So you think this is some kind of pirate CCT tower? Aren't you a smarty?
Olive blushed.
Oh, that was way deeper than I expected it to be. I've been practicing.
Oh my God, there's just so many girls!
So how do we get down there?
Reese asked.
I don't see an entrance.
Fox held up his hands. You're asking the wrong guy. If this is a mine rig, there has to be a mine, right? Scarlet looked around them, then looked down.
If it's buried under the sand, how can anyone get in and out of it?
Reese asked. Carmine can move sand, Coco and Fox said at once.
Carmine can stand. Oh, okay. So that was okay. Good work, everybody.
Okay, that was
right.
Oh, crap! I did the thing again. Well, a moment. I went to check your screen because it froze, and then. No. Wait, what? Where's? Oh, here we go. That's why. There we go. Okay. All right, we're back. That's the task manager. Where is it? There it is, the book. What'd you miss? You missed me floundering around. Basically,
you missed me fucking up my lines. It's the usual.
Yeah.
You haven't missed the mandatory girlfriend shout out though. Shout out to my girlfriend who's watching.
Carmine can move sand, Coco and Fox said at once. Whoa, that was weird, Fox sent.
Carmine is Gladys' semblance is telekinesis,
Coco explained. Like Professor Goodwitch, Nolan said. Coco pinched her fingers together.
What's that mean? Like this? Sort of. She can only move small things, but sand is very, very small.
Sage kicked some sand.
That's going to take us a while, and we didn't bring shovels.
Does anyone have a gravity dust, Coco? That's you. Fuck, sorry.
Does anyone have any gravity dust?
Coco asked. He took inventory and came up with enough gravity dust to fuel Olive's all pike.
I can still...
She's talking to her girlfriend.
No, that wasn't me talking to my girlfriend. That was me talking to my roommate.
Ah, okay. Different. I completely
yeah, it's
forgot
not
you're
as
back
cute.
at school. Or
Yeah, if I wish I was taking a tiny break to talk to Sarah, but no, we are pretty far apart.
Well, your roommate feels
Exactly.
appreciated, I'm sure.
Brian, don't interrupt my fucking stream. No, I wasn't that. He was asking if I wanted some pizza. He's a nice kid.
Did you get pizza?
I'm going to get pizza when he's done with it.
Good. Today's pizza day with my place too, so it's a good day for pizza.
Ooh, pizza day for everybody.
Where were we? It's Olive's line, but I can still only.
Yeah, all right. Sorry about that, guys. I could still only fire a few gravity waves.
Olive said.
Not enough to move all this sand.
Coco.
Leave that part to me.
Coco said.
I can enhance the effect of the dust. You guys might want to stand clear.
The team scrambled to get away from the tower as Coco and Olive stood before it. They looked at each other and nodded. Olive started spinning her pike like a baton, and Coco concentrated. Suddenly, a gravity pulse burst from Olive's weapon, which blasted multiple waves of sand away from the bottom of the tower. When the sand had cleared, Scarlet wiped grit and tears from her eyes. The full mining rig was visible, and the entrance had been bored into the bedrock at its base. The group moved towards it. Someone should probably stay out here, Scarlet said. We don't know what we're going to find in there.
If Carmine's involved, chances are it's going to be a fight,
Coco said, though Scarlet knew she was mostly worried about whether Carmine was targeting Velvet right now. I'll keep watch, Nolan said quietly. Sage rolled his eyes, but Scarlet elbowed him and shook his head. Scarlet guessed Sage was viewing the gesture as cowardice, but Scarlet thought it was actually brave of Nolan to volunteer to stay topside on his own. With the combined threat of Grimm and the Crown henchmen in the area, the Crown Frenchman. Yes. We are fighting the French.
Crown. Uh-huh.
I mean, there really is no French equivalent in... Except a kind of Vale, I guess. Henchmen in the area. Especially knowing how vulnerable the guy was to the possibility of losing even more friends. Coco raised an eyebrow.
That's a good idea. If something happens to us.
I'll come after you, Nolan said. No, you should go back to Shade and tell them what we found, Fox said. Coco nodded and sided with her former teammate.
Exactly.
If we're going to split up, we might as well use TeamSpeak, Fox said. It'll help cut down on the noise, too. Scarlet thought Coco looked nervous. She was breathing fast and she was perspiring, even though the desert had cooled considerably overnight. You okay? He whispered. She nodded and tapped the side of her glasses, but the lenses glowed amber.
I am now,
she said.
Thanks to Bunny Vision.
Bunny what?
Night vision glasses, courtesy of Velvet.
Scarlet wasn't sure what that meant, but he resolved to keep an... What do you mean you don't know what it... Night vision glasses! It's right there. It's like, printed on the box. I really hate that when it's like, I didn't know what that means. Of course you know what it means. It's simple English.
Oh, they are in... Hold on. Yeah. Yeah.
Now remember, guys, Coco's claustrophobic, so this makes sense. Scarlet wasn't sure what that meant, but he resolved to keep an eye on her through whatever happened next. They all filed into the underground bunker. Just before he went in, Scarlet glanced back at the entrance and Nolan waved. Scarlet grinned and flashed him a thumbs up. Then he stepped into the darkness. Are they trying to ship these two? Kind of get, mild shipping vibes from this.
You get ship vibes from everything.
Yeah, but I mean, no, wait, I do, or, in RWBY in general?
Yes.
Okay. Because, like, here's the thing. Normally my ship vibes are towards, like, the female characters, and I might not seem it, but I actually am kind of picky with that. All the same, I'm kind of... Because, like they had Scarlet winking at Nolan, and now, like, he's particularly paying attention to Nolan. It's... I don't know. It's some kind of hint, but nothing too big right now. The air was stale and the walls were close. Bad things happen in caves like this. Coco and Fox took the lead, guiding the group with their boosted sight and his semblance. Olive brought up the rear, using her naturally enhanced fauna sight, hearing to guard the flank. They walked in a close pack along the old broken cart tracks on a decline. I'll keep Nolan looped into TeamSpeak as long as I can so he knows what's going on, Fox sent. Thanks, Nolan sent. See anything yet? Fox sighed softly. It's dark down here. Just a long passage leading down. Oh, this is Coco.
It's dark down here. Just a long passage leading down. Oh, hold on.
Coco cut in, and she spotted something.
4 paths in the cardinal directions.
Coco
The south
said.
cave has collapsed, but there's still three choices. North, west, and east. They can't see far down any of them.
Reese came up with a plan.
So Coco, Fox, and Olive each lead me, Sage, Scarlet, and Octavia down one of the paths.
She sent.
Wait.
Olive sent.
As your voice is this way, and pointing east where you can't possibly see them. I'm giving her the voice of like Fran in FF12. It's gonna run with it.
This is Coco.
East, that's back towards the city.
Coco sent.
Is it possible these mines extend that far?
You think it's another Mountain Glen situation? Fox asked.
Could be.
Olive sent.
The whole area is mined pretty heavily. That's why these are the wastelands. They literally wasted the land, draining an oasis so they could dig under to the dust beneath. All that's left is sand.
Give me a second, Fox sent. He faced each of the open caves for a short while, north, east, and west. Then he turned back to the east. These caverns could be twisting around, but I'm sensing those auras up ahead, east.
Which is where the voices are coming from.
Coco sent.
Good enough for me. Let's go. Slowly and cautiously.
The voices gradually grew louder. The Scarlet couldn't make out what they were saying. Soon they saw a light ahead, a light a long ways off, which grew brighter as they tipped forward. Scarlet can make the others out better now, and Coco even switched off her glasses.
I guess we're on the right track. Get it? Because we're on the mine railway?
A few members of the team groaned. Coco sent.
If we can hear them, they can hear us. Sorry.
Olive sent.
I can hear them clearly now. They're
The rain is
talking
gone.
about changing times. Charging times? How long will it take to get ready? When someone named Jillian should move.
I'm going to get a closer look, Scarlet said. Coco nodded and pressed a finger to her lips. Slowly, Scarlet crept farther along the large cavern until he could see and hear what was going on from the shadows. He started recording on his scroll. It's a woman.
Oh, another girl, great. I don't even have time to update this stupid chart.
Oh, it's pink. It's pink.
Oh, what did we...
We don't remember what we gave her.
You should take all of it, Jillian.
The woman with pink hair said.
This is war, after all.
The pink hair reminded Scarlet of the photo he'd seen of the Weeping Wall. A missing girl. Rosa Schwein. Could this be her?
Well, then a soft, buttery female... What does that mean?
Soft and buttery. Mmm.
Or as they say on British Bake Off, bootery.
Buttery. Well, I don't take it away with the soft, buttery female voice there, Molly.
We value our resources in vacuo.
A soft, buttery female voice said. Scarlet had to
Is
strain
that
to hear
buttery
her.
enough for you guys?
It's
We
Pokemon.
don't waste them. We don't waste them, and we don't use them up. Besides, what's the point of ruling if there aren't any people?
Scarlet edged a little more until you could see the woman who was speaking. She was sitting on a large seat carved out of the rock wall, and she was hard to miss because of the rainbow colors swirled shifted around her. What is that? Scarlet said. That woman, Gillian. She's glowing.
It's pronounced Jillian.
Gillian, I mean... Look, I pronounce things in my own way. I'm allowed to. Izanagi is pronounced Izanagi. You're allowed to. You're allowed to do it. Aura, Fox said. Why can I see it? Scarlet said. It's the strongest, brightest aura I've ever sensed. The woman, Jillian, had fair skin and black hair braided into 2 loops on either side. She wore a long dress with many sheer layers of blue, white, green, and purple that resembled running water. A silver chain was wrapped around her waist, matching her slim silver diadem that gleamed on her head. She's wearing a crown.
Hold on.
What?
Abe Zevlag says, not really buttery, but it does sound pink. I'm trying, guys. You sound like you're doing a younger Rumple voice. I'm one person. One person, 0 experience.
She's wearing a crown, Scarlet said. I've seen a picture on the weeping wall, too. Rosa stood on Jillian's right, tapping away at the scroll.
This is going to take too long,
she said. Jillian's the one with the buttery voice. Pink is the one with the asshole voice.
Oh, okay, sorry.
This is going to take too long.
Jillian glared at her.
Don't use that in front of me. Like it or not, it's hard to get by without scrolls these days. We need some tech to coordinate with Jax and his team.
Rosa said. Oh, she's the sister that Neptune and Sun were talking to. He's talking to the brother of her, or whatever his name was. Father? I don't care. It was the guy that lived without technology. Remember? He was kind of weird and standoffish.
Oh, yeah.
Jillian stood up from her throne and walked down the stone steps. She stepped into the left, and Scarlet craned his neck to see where she had gone. He covered a gasp when he saw what was in the rest of the room. Rows of beds filled with sleeping people. Jillian walked to one of the beds and put her hand on an unconscious man's shoulder. The aura around her flared more brightly. Fox appeared at Scarlet's side. Coco and the others joined them. Whoa, Fox said. Her aura is so strong because it doesn't belong to her. She's draining it from other people. Coco.
How can she do that?
Coco asked.
If that's her semblance, then I don't know how we can ever stop her.
Octavia sent discouraged. Oh, easy. Just murder all the people she's draining from. No problem with that, right? Nothing morally unreprehensible about that option. Who is this talking? Scarlet. Okay. There have to be at least 50 people in there, Scarlet sent. It's the people who've gone missing. The Crown wasn't just kidnapping people with powerful semblances. They were kidnapping regular people, too. For the aura. See? Regular people have aura. Fuck the lore of this show.
Fuck lore. Man, fuck lore.
Yeah, he was evil character in Star Trek.
Rayquaza do not interact.
Alright, this is Reese.
Well, we can stop them now.
Reese sent.
We outnumber them. I don't even think she has a weapon.
She is a weapon.
Coco sent.
And based on what we heard about Rosa Schwein, there's... Schwein?
Schwein?
There is a bit of a... Yeah, Schwein. She's a bit of a threat on her own.
Jillian left the man on the bed and moved to the next sleeping victim. Fox turned his head back and forth. Bertilic's here, but his aura's faint. He nodded his head and Coco leaned forward. She pointed to a man lying in a bed in a far side of the room. I thought he worked for them, Scarlet said.
Looks like he's more valuable for his aura than as a fighter.
Coco said.
The crown must not have been happy about him losing Gus.
Coco, Fox sent, do we attack them? We may not get a better shot at this with their guard down.
You may as well bring in the army.
Jillian said in a bored voice.
When I'm done here, I'll strengthen them for the fight. Well, I don't like the sound of that.
Sage sent. Rosa tapped at a screen some more, and a rough-looking crowd of people entered the room. All of them armed, many of them armored. All of them wearing silver armbands like Jillian's crown. So much for attacking them now, Fox sent. Scarlet remembered the pig-eared faunus in the brown jumpsuit from the Sun's fight downtown, seemingly ages ago. These must be the recruits with the strongest semblances, bent to the crown's service, either willingly or through some form of mind control.
We should go,
Coco said. She started backing up. If those guys discovered them, they would never escape the caves.
What about fighting?
Reese said. This is Coco, I think.
Sometimes you don't. The 7 of us can take on a small army. And when you can't fight, you live to fight another day. Let's head back to Shade.
It was a tense journey back that seemed longer than the trip in. They were all spooked by what they'd seen down there, and all that they didn't understand. They needed answers. They needed a plan. They needed an army of their own. Okay. All right. I'm following this. Okay.
I am. I think this is cool.
Yeah, just kind of, fucking with the general lore that they're going with. They have in the show.
But when isn't it doing that?
I mean, why isn't the show doing it itself? Do you think the author played Mortal Kombat 11 before writing, or and was a Shang Tsung main? If I played Mortal Kombat, I would understand that reference. But I don't play Mortal Kombat, and I do not understand that reference.
Neither do I. I need to update my chart.
So guys, how do faunus genetics work? I'm kind of confused after that World of Remnant. The answer is they don't. They don't work. It's bullshit. What is the point of Grimm? They have very little meaning to what's happening at all. The point of Grimm is to excuse the fact that they're hunters. That's about it. We found the long-lost daughter of Marcus Black. Maybe, actually. That would probably be a suitable twist. How can she do that? Me, in a world of superpowers, how can she do that? Me, in a world of superpowers, you ask how? I hate to say this, but what does pink sound like?
Whatever I was doing just then.
Pink sounds like Aoi Yuki on a good day. Aoi Yuki, I love her voice acting. She's wonderful. You can never meet an actress that can go between 3 different types of magical girl. The helpless, innocent one, the I'm going to punch you in the face because that's how I express my feelings type one, and the I'm actually a miniature version of Hitler and I'm going to take over the world type one. She can do all 3. Wonderful voice actress. All right, I'm going to use the restroom, and I'll be right back. Entertain the chat.
You're leaving me. Jesus left me here, you guys.
Yes, Tiny Weiss, entertain everyone.
Tiny Weiss. Guys, what other female characters were there that I needed to write down? I forget. There was Rosa, Jillian, Olive. Was that it? Have the semblances been any sort of creative? No. When have they ever been creative? That's not a question. I'm suffering here. Oh no. Guys, what do we talk about? We have like 3 minutes. Just you and me, face to face. Molly time. Fanfics that are better than the show. I've read enough RWBY fanfics to know that they're not actually that much better for the show, but than the show. I also just don't read super long fanfictions.
And I've returned.
Ah, okay.
Fanfics that are better than the show, huh?
I'm sure they exist, but they're like 8,000 chapters.
Yeah, like the one that I always recommend. That's just it's fun because it takes all the most radical. It's like it takes all the ideas in RWBY, makes them extreme, and in doing so, actually fixes a lot and makes it way more interesting. I still find the idea.
Tiny Weiss a VTuber. What's VTube?
Virtual tuber. It's like all those
Yeah, like the Let's Players that have like Anime Girl.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I've debated whether or not I should like go in on a. I mean, I've already shown my face, so I don't know if it would really be the same. But like, get a virtual bird that would just represent me. Do you think it'd be fun to have?
Thoughts on the Volume 8 clip? Why do I need to think about the Volume 8 clip? Wow, he threw a shield. I'm so glad we killed Pyrrha for this man. Pyrrha definitely wouldn't have been more interesting than John at this point in the story.
Well, no, the thing is, I still think John could be super interesting. It's just he's not, because they try to keep harping on that he's going to be this legendary hero. Like, he's not struggling with anything. He's just doing things instead of being an actual character. But, like, it all applies to the main characters who don't get as much focus as it. It's like, why? Goddamn why? It's a pain in the ass.
Because Miles needs to feel good about himself.
I feel kind of bad that he took that really personally, that everyone calls it a self-insert, but he really is bad at making
it good. People should take it personally. Like, that's what it is. Also, how did Molly get into RWBY? When I was 15? God, 15. I'm 21 now. Oh no. Anyway, when I was 15, a friend of mine who watched Red vs. Blue recommended it to me. And I watched it. And that was that.
And then somehow you found Fat Man.
Somehow I did, and I told him, hey, you should make a Discord server. And he did. And I've been there ever since.
I made the Discord server.
Well, the first person I contacted about it was him, and then I know you two.
Yeah, we worked together on it, admittedly, but I made the server. I'm the one that put all the effort. Oh, anime is art. What if Winter was basically Tanya Degershov? Kelzik, explain Tanya to Molly so she gets our Lord and Savior German imperialist. I do recommend you really should look into Saga of Tanya the Evil. It really, especially if you can imagine Tanya, Winter as Tanya, who's like this hardcore imperialist. Although not quite one for one, because like Tanya's whole shtick is she just wants a cushy job in the back row. Celtic, would you rather Miles write another Blake arc or continue writing for his self-insert? Continue writing for the self-insert. That hands down.
Well, I mean, here's the real question, CJ, that you asked. Would I rather shove this into my eyeball, or would I rather shove this into my eyeball? And I will always choose the slightly less painful thing to jab into my eyeball. But I don't want to do either.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by slightly less painful. Like, is it going to be more painful over time, or is it going to be more painful immediately but less painful following? Like, you gotta, there's like that.
Well, this isn't sharp. This isn't sharp.
Yeah, that's going to be more painful over time, because if you're jamming it in your eyeball, it's going to cause more damage.
I suppose a John arc would be more painful over time.
I need to finish watching Saga of Tanya Dio. I need to get back to the books. I'm in volume 4 right now, and I just haven't been able to like get through it because I've been so distracted by other things. That I'm kind of scared because I'm really quickly coming upon the part where it's over in the anime, and like getting ahead of that scares me. I don't want people I like dying. There's a lot of people I like in that book. Tanya, Visha, Gantz, a lot of fun little characters. I don't think Lurgan's gonna die. He seems like he's gonna survive to the end. All right, well, chapter 14. It is your turn. It looks like it's a Sun chapter.
Hold on, one more question. If you could recast any character, how do you mean? Recast in what sense?
Their actor.
Their actor?
Yeah.
I would make RWBY have a not embarrassing voice.
Okay, I take issue with that because I loved Lindsay's performance in Volume 1 and a little bit of Volume 2. But like since Volume 3, they were really harping on the young and innocent sound. She doesn't sound like a young adult she doesn't sound like a teenager anymore. She sounds like she's going for like the little kid sound. She's going for the really like let her voice grow up. She's gone through trauma.
RWBY, are you okay?
No, I'm angry.
My favorite line. It's my favorite RWBY line.
God,
I'm angry.
that with a better delivery.
My favorite line in the show, just in general, is, "What do you think of that?"
I think it gives me personal feeling.
Wait, was that actually in the line? Wait, is that actually in the show?
Yeah, that's Cinder versus Penny. That's what Penny says.
I think it gives me personal feelings.
I don't even remember that, but then again, we were talking all throughout that fight, so it's like, yeah.
There's also Winter. I'm not leaving you. You're not leaving me. I'm giving you a head start.
That's a good line.
What a raw thing to say.
It's a great line.
Bro, every day I wish, every single time an episode comes out and somebody related to Weiss is involved, I just wish the show could have been about Weiss.
But, like, Tiny Weiss. Like, everyone else is normal, but it's just Tiny Weiss.
Who's Tiny? This is bad. I have that image on my computer. This is bad.
This is bad. All right, chapter 14. Let's dive into this.
All right. But yeah, things revolving... Weiss's plot and her...
And she froze on me. You froze on me.
This is bad. Oh. Am I good?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Should be good now.
Okay. Sun looked around Professor Rumpel's office, which was crowded with students as well as remnant artifacts. He was still a bit dazed from his experience at the Mirage and was finding it difficult to settle his mind. This office was the closest thing to a museum in Vacua, with pictures and documents framed on the walls, display cases of rocks, ancient weapons, models, and dioramas. The professor wasn't just a history fanatic. She had lived Remnant's history itself. And yet there wasn't a single thing on her desk to hint at her own history. No family photos or personal mementos.
Brief pause. We got a $5 chat from Blade Charge. How better are RWBY fanfic compared to the show on average? On average, I mean, it's about as good as any fanfiction, so average quality at best. Like
no, I think RWBY fanfics on average are worse.
Oh, really? Like compared to the show, specifically to the show.
To other fanfics.
Okay, yeah, no. I'm saying compared to the show. It's about like any other fandom where it runs the gamut. Though I argue there's plenty of them that actually know what they're doing when they use the actual lore and setting. Or they
I know, but most RWBY fanfics are weird fetish fanfics, or they're 40k slow burn swimming lessons AU Bumblebee and they have a kid and it's the most like boring thing you've ever read.
You read that one too.
I saw the description and I'm like, there's no way this is interesting.
I read it and it was okay. It was mostly fluff. I read it when it was coming out though, so it wasn't like I was like binging the entire thing. It was just something that I kind of like read casually when it would come out. Was that by Miko Taizini? There's some
I read
writers...
like the first chapter and I felt flies drawn to my body for some reason. Vultures were outside the window.
That could have been a Momo X Toshiro. I'm trying to remember who wrote that one. Because like there are some authors that I found that I really like. Occasionally, because like Momo X Toshiro is just freaking prolific. She writes for everything and does it so like she releases like a chapter a day type deal, which is an insane pace. But like the problem I have with her is her writing feels hollow. It feels very bog standard to the point where it's completely uninteresting.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I don't want to read 40,000 words of the most mundane shit ever. There's fluff and then there's just nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, but then there are ones that are like take the premise and run with it, or they do like, you know, their own AU where they just steal the characters. There are a few like oh, I'm trying to think of some of the AUs that I've read that were actually pretty good.
No, there are a lot of I feel like a lot of fan fiction is just AUs that are always the same and they just basically gave it a different coat of paint depending on the fan base.
I mean, yes, I mean especially high school AUs. Oh my god, high school AUs are a dime a dozen at this rate.
College AUs. Guys, I get it. You're trying to relive your shitty high school experience, but are being super cringy about it. Don't show your hand when you write, guys. If you are writing from some cringy experience, don't make it obvious.
Although, on one hand, I actually read some pretty good Kingdom Hearts high school AU. But that's a setting where, like, they're supposed to have gone to a normal high school. And I just wonder what that's like. Like, I want to see what happens when Sora has to go back for classes and he's suddenly like, I can tell you all about all these different worlds that I've been to, and all the money I've made while doing it. And they're like, okay, but what's 2 + 2? And he's like, fish. What? I learned math.
I mean, that's funny.
I learned math in Atlantis.
That is funny. But most high school AUs, it's like, first of all, they're often made by people who like were complete nothing introverts in high school, so they don't actually know what high school's like. Secondly, a lot of it is like a lot of characters in especially like action-based things, their issues revolve around said action. So when you remove them from that, it's just nothing. Like
that's why
I guess it can kind of work with RWBY herself because RWBY is nothing.
Well, and
you can just shove her anywhere.
That was sort of the trouble, like the challenge with Forged in Flames when it was initially made as a Madoka fanfic, is that like how do I translate the traumas and struggles of these characters into a realistic setting? And that's kind of like it birthed the whole new storyline and all these different character beats, but it kept like the core of the idea intact, which was the premise behind it.
Well, still, you can't like I can't just sit there and read like a Danganronpa coffee shop AU or punk rock AU or high school AU because like none of these characters are meant to be interesting in a normal setting. Danganronpa characters are pretty like bland until they're put in stress. That's the whole point. That's like how the guy writes.
Meanwhile, I was playing with the idea of like doing the inverse of that, where like. Because I found this really good, I think I sent it to you, this good remix of Dahlia Hawthorne's theme from Ace Attorney. And I was like, You know, it'd be really cool. What if you could do like an action series, but like with all the Phoenix Wright characters instead? Like
Phoenix Wright Danganronpa crossover.
Not Danganronpa. No, God, no. I'm not a fan of Danganronpa when it comes to... Oh, anime is art.
You asked for it.
Yeah. Let's remake RWBY where it's a harem and everyone wants to get Ruby into bed, but she doesn't want it because she likes weapons, and then she meets Penny. I guarantee you that has already been made. I guarantee you that's been made.
It exists.
It exists. Yeah. No exception. If it hasn't been written, it's been drawn. So,
Okay, it's two things. Ryan Carson. You know about Kingdom Hearts? That series story is probably just as bad as RWBY's. Yes, but Kingdom Hearts also is like cute about it.
Well, you know,
It kind of knows.
yeah, Kingdom Hearts is self-aware in that it's insane. Especially the later ones. It's like, and the thing is, it takes itself. The lore of Kingdom Hearts is constantly adding crap to it in such a way that it doesn't necessarily conflict with things in the past. Like, I don't think that there's things in. There's not contradictions in Kingdom Hearts lore. It's just overly convoluted, because they typically address why things can't work the way they needed to in the past. Like, that's actually part of a problem with Kingdom Hearts, is that you have long expository sequences of the end Cid, who's like, yes, because of this happened, but it couldn't have, we couldn't have done that earlier because of this or whatever. And then that goes off to spin into its own problems. Like, literally, they address the issues that would logically be, and that's kind of the strength of being a video game, is that you can sit there and exposit to the player, because you know that after this, they're going to be playing for like 5 hours after this, just pure gameplay. So you can exposit for like 10 minutes, as opposed to RWBY, where you kind of need to keep the viewer engaged much longer.
I'm not well versed in RWBY fanfics, but as an Undertale fan, well, there's your first problem.
What percentage of actually good fanfics are unfinished or too long, or for too long? Yeah, that's any fanfic. Yeah, any fanfiction. So many of the good ones just die out for a lot of reasons. I would probably say about 80% of the good ones die out before they finish. Then you get a lot of the mediocre ones that finish, typically wrapping up a little too quickly. God, I'm still pissed. There was this fantastic RWBY fanfiction that was a White Rose ship that was all about, Ruby and Weiss nearing graduation at Beacon, and it was basically Weiss realizing that her clock was up, and that if she really wanted to be with Ruby, she needed to do it soon. Or maybe it was Ruby. I can't remember exactly how it worked out. But it got one chapter away, and the writer was like, I'm leaving the internet. And he took everything with him. I'm like, God damn it. Years later, reposts it under a different name, under a new profile, and slowly gets all the way up to the final chapter. Does the exact same thing. Pisses me off. I wanted to know what happened at the end of that. God damn, it was irritating. All right, we have gone off on this tangent far too long, but we are now safe from copyright, so let's please continue the story. Where the fuck even
anyway,
were we?
All right, he shook his head, I think is where we...
Yeah. He shook his head and blinked, turning his attention back to the group. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it.
Professor Rumpel sipped some water. I know the feeling. The mind control does a number on you. Sun's eyes flashed at her.
Not as much as a number as we did on our friends.
He said. It wasn't your fault, Rumpel said, maybe not for the first time, but she sounded more like she was trying to convince herself. She, too, knew the feeling of being captured by the crown and subject to its control. It was hard to accept there was nothing you could do.
Thanks, but that doesn't help Yatsuhashi. We should go back and get him.
Sun said. Oh, I don't have bunny ears. Yatsuhashi is exactly what he needed. There. Mouth, just cooperate with me here. Okay. Yatsuhashi is exactly where he needed to be. Velvet said. We have to trust him. She'd been quiet on the trip back from the Mirage last night during the morning's discussion with Rumpel, Neptune, Scarlet, and newly returned group from the Wastelands. Did Velvet blame him for what happened at the club? Sun hadn't just failed Yatsuhashi, he had failed her too.
If you say so. You know him better than I do.
Sun said. Sun hadn't really wanted to get to know Yatsuhashi better, but now he owed the big guy. If not for him, he'd still be under the crown's thumb, doing who knew what. He didn't understand how Yatsuhashi had broken the mental hold on him, but Velvet had explained that Yatsu's semblance allowed him to make people forget things. Apparently, he could do more than that, too. He'd helped the elderly Edward Caspian remember things despite his mental illness, and perhaps he was the only person who could counter the crown's influence now. Sun tried to concentrate, but his mind kept wandering, more than usual.
Anyway, what were you saying, Coco?
I asked if this guy looks familiar. She held up her scroll to show him one of the pictures Velvet had taken at the Weeping Wall. Sun leaned forward and squinted. Here. Rumple tapped the keyboard at her desk. A picture from Coco's scroll appeared as a hologram over her desk, showing a pale boy and a girl with similar hair and features. They stood back to back, wearing the short, light tunics that most vacuums favored.
Yeah, that's the guy who brainwashed me.
Sun growled. The boy's black hair was tied into a top knot, just like it had been in the back room at the club. Only there he'd been wearing a silver diadem and blue linen duster embroidered with spirals. I don't know what any of those things are. The shapes had seemed to swirl in the fabric as Jax put his hand on Sun's head and exerted his will over him. Please don't phrase it like that.
That's Jax. That's Jack Asturias. That's Jax Asturias, and his sister.
Jillian, Coco said. We saw her at the Wastelands. How do you know their names? Coco asked.
We interviewed their dad.
Neptune said. Sun frowned.
We did? Yesterday, before you ran off the Mirage.
Sun rubbed his temples wearily.
I wish I'd stayed with you. I remember now. Mr. Asturias said his kids were students here.
Professor Rumple nodded. Jill was the top of her class and ambitious, the leader of her team. Jax was arrogant, but he didn't have anything to back up that arrogance. He always took his sister's lead. I think she was the only reason he was here, and it showed. He was expelled, and she dropped out a couple years ago.
Weird thought, but just seeing Jill spelled that way reminded me of a weird moment in... This is a very stupid story that I'm trying to bring. Kim Possible. There was an antagonist named Gil who got turned into a fish person. And so he renamed himself Gil. And everyone was like, wait, what? Yeah, it's Gil with 2 L's now. Oh. And that's the story. That's what it reminded me of. Please continue.
Which is likely why you didn't see him when he brainwashed you. Oh, wait, no. Rumple frowned. Mind control. If I had no idea he had such a powerful semblance, let alone any semblance at all. I certainly would have recognized him if I'd seen him. Which is likely why you didn't see him when he brainwashed you, Coco said. A shame I didn't see this photo earlier. Oh, that was my phone. Rumple said. We tried, Coco said. You said you were following your own leads. Why? Is there anything about them that would have made you realize they're the crown? Just one thing. Rumple got up, a little shakily, and moved to the far wall. She clearly was still out of it, too. But then she'd been under Jack's influence for much longer. She took a painting from the wall and brought it to the group, holding it up like one of her favorite belongings for show and tell. As you brought up in class, Miss Adele, Vacuo, each of the remnant's kingdoms, were once ruled by monarchies. This is an artist's rendition of the very first king of Vacuo, Malik the Sunderer. All this was hundreds of years ago, so long ago, it's almost faded into myth. Impossible for anyone to remember what life was like then. We're truly able to trace their lineage back to the early dynasty. Rumple turned and returned, great writing, the painting to the wall. Jax and Gil were very interested in Vacuum history, just as you were, Coco, she continued. I should have put it together then and listened to what you had to say. I'm sorry. Coco's cheeks flushed. So they are obsessed with Vacuo's past, she said. But why?
Yeah! Sorry, I just... they call themselves the Crown, Sun said. Even Jax wore one, like royalty. Jill, too.
Sorry about that, guys. Like they want to be the new king and queen of Vacuo or something, Coco said.
Lots of people in Vacuo want things to go back to the old ways. The old ways.
Because they're tough.
Take a drink, everyone. Actually, no, the old ways is when they're not tough.
Ah.
It's when they're lazy bastards.
All right, spit out that drink, everyone.
Preferably in the direction of a RWBY writer. It's you.
It is? No, it's not.
Oh, is it? Oh, shit. Sorry. It is Sun. I was reading Coco. Saw there. But no one has the power to make it happen. It was too long ago. Things have changed too much.
At the very least, you need an army to start with.
Their dad was big on this stuff too. He showed them his collection of vacuum. He showed me his collection of vacuum and apocrypha, relics from the old kings. He called them rusty old weapons, worn out drums. I made an excuse and got out of there quick.
I think we should talk to him again.
Neptune and I know him already. We'll go.
Son, okay. I'll join you, Coco said. I need to ask him about what we saw under the wastelands.
I'm coming too.
Oh.
Velvet and Fox said at the same time.
You read my mind.
Velvet said to him. Fox groaned.
This has to stop.
Guess we've been a team long enough. We're more in sync than we thought, Coco said. Scarlet cleared his throat.
Mind if I tag along? Since when do you want to be on in on the action? Since you've been holding it all to yourself. Fair enough.
Sun thought. But he didn't want to do that now.
Honestly, I think I'm at the point where I could use a little less excitement.
Did everyone hear that?
Never. I lost the accent. Sage exclaimed.
Are we sure he still isn't brainwashed? Because that sure doesn't sound like the Sun I know.
Maybe I'm changing.
Sun said. Then he realized something.
I suppose you want to come too.
Don't you know it?
Yeah! Neptune jumped up. Yeah. The band is back together. Why are you excited about this, Neptune? Kind of like indifferent to it.
Oh, Ryan pointed out it's Jax and Jillian. It's
Yeah. All right, you're still reading descriptions.
I know. I'm just recovering from that. Sun smiled at Velvet, but she looked a little down. Team Sunu might be back together, but part of Team Kiffy was still in the den of the enemy. Whether he wanted to be there or not, he knew she was worried about Yatsuhashi. Coco looked to Rumpel. When we get back from talking to Mr. Asturias, we need to see the headmaster. I'll see what I can do, Rumpel said. He's made it clear he needs time to think about all this, to come up with a plan. He's shaken by what's been happening. Jade Academy may be in grave danger. With all due respect, Coco said.
Here we go.
Fox said. I'd like to hear from Headmaster Theodore himself. It's not that I don't trust you.
You have every reason not to, Rumpel sighed. I assure you, I am quite free of Jax's control, thanks to Mr. Daichi. But I understand your reluctance, and I agree. Theo needs to hear all of this from you directly. I'm not sure he fully trusts me right now either. He would be a fool to after what I've done to the school. Her shoulders slumped. So who is Theodore? Veil Dorothy or Human Toto?
That's a good question. Who is Theodore? Okay, so we have the Scarecrow, we have the Iron Man, the Tin Man, we have the Cowardly Lion. What is Toto? What, I guess he is Toto. Are there any?
Some figured that this was probably the biggest disappointment in the ultimate betrayal for her, that she had let her friend and headmaster down. No one took their responsibility more seriously than Professor Rumpel, and Theodore didn't suffer failure or signs of weakness lightly. Never mind that shade, Vacuo itself, was facing an unprecedented threat that no one could have prepared for. They had to prepare now before it was too late, if it wasn't already.
Okay.
Oh, this is a long chapter and dinner's ready. I'm gonna be right back.
I mean, I can.
You take it from.
I can take it.
You take it right now. Yeah.
Oh my
And
god!
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go
Holy
eat some-
crap! Yeah, this goes down to what, 183. It looks like. And we're at 176. Yeah. All right. All right. Everyone gets to hear my Coco impression. Wonderful. Who's ready for this? Osmond led his enforcer turn to animals. I believe that Theodore is male Dorothy. I guess? Should be going on an adventure then. Finn Asturias didn't answer the door when they knocked, so Coco knocked it down. Inside they found the older man frightened and packing to leave. Going somewhere? Coco asked. None of your business. Finn shrank away from the group of 7 in his one-room house, who blocked his access to the door. Huntsmen are supposed to protect the people, not threaten them. We aren't huntsmen yet, Coco said. And we are protecting people from your children, Son added. Finn's face fell. What are you talking about? He said. My children are missing. Easy. We just like to talk to you, Velvet said, trying to take things down a notch. I already talked to you. His eyes darted to the window nervously. I have nothing more to say. Velvet took a soothing tone. We won't let anything happen to you. You can come back with us to Shade Academy. Finn spat. Never. Theodore rules Vacuo like a king, but who put him in charge? Sounds like we're in the right place, Fox said. Mr. Asturias, just let me show you something, Coco said. If you don't want to talk to us, after that, we'll leave. We will? Fox said. I'm lying, Coco said. We'll leave, but we'll take him back with us and sort things out at Shade. Sun smiled. He was starting to admire Coco's style, which went deeper than the surface she presented to everyone else. Maybe Team Coffee deserved some of the reputation they had earned. Okay. I don't want to see anything from you kids, Finn said sharply. You don't even belong in Vacuo. Coco ignored him and started playing a video on her scroll. I think you want to see this if you truly miss your daughter. Finn turned away, hefting his pack. I want all of you and that tech out of my house. Besides, what's the point of ruling if there aren't any people? Jill said in the video. At the sound of his daughter's voice, the man turned back and looked at the screen in spite of himself. That's her, right? Coco asked. That's Jill? Sun's mouth fell open when he saw the glowing woman on the stone-carved throne. Finn took the scroll and cradled it in his hands, slowly sinking to set on the floor. This is going to take too long, Pink said. Hey, she was there too? Sun hadn't seen this himself yet, so he edged around Finn to look over his shoulder. On the screen, the glowing woman, Jill Asturias, one half of the self-named crown, was walking down a line of sleeping people, touching each one of them. Sun crouched lower, stunned. He sat on his haunches to watch the video next to Finn. He knew some of the sleeping people, though he hadn't seen them in years. They were familiar faces of people who had gone missing months ago, or people whose photos had been hanging on the weeping wall. He'd been on a quest to find them until he got distracted. Always distracted. And look where they were now. You may as well bring in the army, Jill said. When I'm done... What's she doing? Sun asked. He could hardly make sense of what he saw. Finn jumped at the sound of Sun's voice next to his ear and fumbled the scroll. Sun caught it with his tail and dangled it in front of him. Startled, Finn took the scroll back. He replayed the part of the video. You may as well bring in the army. When I'm done here, I'll strengthen them for the fight. She's absorbing their auras, Finn said. He, too, was almost in a state of shock. Coco bent down in front of him. That's her semblance, right? She confirmed. And your son, Jax, he can control people's minds. Finn closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Jax is very persuasive, but he doesn't have a semblance. That couldn't be true, Son thought. He hated to contradict the old man, but come on. He definitely does, Son said, correcting him. Can you highlight that for now? How's everyone doing in chat? Oh, he does have ruby gloves. You're right. Take a drink for my... thought those were brown work boots. Take a drink for your voice. Empty. I'm screwed. I usually have an emergency bottle of water, but I downed that in one of the earlier streams. So, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. It's what? Just another 6 pages. I can get through that. It's really my congestion that I'm worried about. Finn opened his eyes, ignoring Sun, and looked at Coco. Are they hurting anyone? Coco removed her sunglasses and looked him in the eyes. Luckily, she was used to being direct. They are, she told him, and we think they're planning to hurt a lot more, maybe not just in Vacuo. Sun put it all together for the guy. Your son and daughter are the ones who've been kidnapping people in the city. Other people's children. Surely they could relate to other grieving parents. And they've been recruiting people with powerful semblances like their own to build themselves an army, Velvet said. They're calling themselves the Crown, Sun said. God, I hate all these seds. The man rubbed his face with his hand. Was he hiding tears? If that's true, then it's all my fault, he said. They could hardly hear his voice. It was so low and gruff. Hey, like mine. Why the fascination with Vacuo and royalty? Coco pressed him. Why do they call themselves the Crown? Sun knew they might not have another chance to get answers they needed. Because they're the heirs to the throne of Vacuo, Finn said. Fox frowned. How can you even know that? He asked. It's not as if we still have records going back that far. Finn shifted and pushed his right foot out. He lifted a leg of his trousers and pointed to a small purple mark there. The group leaned forward to take a look at it. Sun averted his eyes. Who wanted to look at an old man's leg? But his friends weren't put off in the slightest. It looks kind of like an upside-down crown, Coco said thoughtfully. It's the Royal Birthmark, Finn explained. Every member of our family has it, going back as far as I can remember. My mother had it, her mother before her, my great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandmother. We get it, Fox said, encouraging him to get to the next point. Finn went on. It's been passed down along with stories of its origin. Only Vacuo's royal line bears the mark, one person from each generation. But Jax and Jillian's case, they both have it, because they're twins, the first twins ever born in our family. Well, there's no way to really know, Sun said. It's just a story. Someone could have made it up to explain the mark and passed down as a family legend. How could Finn believe this? There was no proof whatsoever. He was surprised any vacuum would be taken by such a tale. Finn was firm, he said. I read something once, written by Beacon's last headmaster. Professor Ozpin? Coco asked. Finn nodded. It stuck with me because, as you may have noticed, I love books. He wrote that our world is built on stories. Some are true, some are lies. Some are real and some are myths. Stories explain who we are and why we're here. They give us comfort when we need it. And they help us relate to each other. If you don't believe in stories, if you don't trust in them, then nothing has meaning in life. It's a really bad mindset to be in. You can always find the truth. You just gotta do a little bit of digging. So is Jill all for one or just your typical soul-stealing wizard? I don't know yet. Molly's just avoiding race so she doesn't have to read. Maybe. This is a lot to read. Jack broke his crown. Vacuo royalty is really popular, so why apparently did they get rid of them? Vacuo believes in polygamy. Vacuo believes in polygamy. I don't remember recalling reading that. Apparently Carmine Escalados alludes to the Red Knight Escalados from Arthurian legends. We get another chosen one. Wasn't Ozpin good enough for the gods? The creatures grim are so hollow. Speaking of hollow, Grimjaw... Grimjaw is the best girl? I have no idea what you're referring to. Sunside. If Ozpin said that, there might be something to it. No, it's a terrible life story. You don't need that shit. Finn paused. So I believe the old stories about our family. It's always been a point of pride for us. Something that set us apart, that made us special in Vacuo. It gave some purpose to our lives. To be the best people we can be. To help others. To take care of our home.
Where are we?
Page 180.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah. People were saying you're just running away from reading.
I'm hungry.
No, I get that. I'm hungry too. I'm right there with you. But yeah.
Also, I didn't want the pizza to get cold. My roommate worked hard on it.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna blame you for that. Yeah. No. Yeah. So we're on page 180, and basically it's revealed that Finn and his children are the rightful heirs to the Vacuan throne. Quote unquote.
Okay. So what line are we at?
I just finished reading. Finn paused all the way up through to take care of our home. So the line should be, he looked around to make sure the teams were listening.
He looked around to make sure the teams were listening.
My children believe the stories too. It's why Jill wanted to go to the academy to train to be a huntress. Jax has always been a bit more selfish, has bigger plans than serving the people. He would much rather rule them, but he went with her anyway. But why?
But why? Coco asked. Many twins live separate lives, right?
You understand, he didn't have a choice. She's keeping him alive.
A shocked silence fell over the group, until Neptune said,
What? A little too loud.
A little too loudly! Finn tried to explain.
When my wife, Luna, was pregnant with them, she began getting sick. Her aura was being depleted, but the doctors couldn't figure out why. It would regenerate, but over those 9 months it came back slower and slower each time, and eventually she couldn't recover at all. By the time she went into labor, her aura was almost down to nothing. Then we discovered the same was true for Jax, and doctors found that it was some inherited condition. Jillian's aura was, shall we say, elevated, and the two needed to be separated then before more harm could come to Jax. There was an emergency operation to get them out, but it was too late for Luna. She didn't survive the procedure. She was never...
Finn's voice broke.
She never even saw him. I never even said goodbye. Jax recovered, obviously, but his aura was always at a dangerously low level. He was fragile. He developed slowly. He was hard to draw out, and I worried...
Finn took a shaky breath.
I worried that it twisted his mind. He wasn't anything like Jillian. Part of it was bitterness because he didn't have a semblance. What's the point of you coming back? I'm reading most of this. She, on the other hand, had a powerful semblance. It had caused us so much pain, but I couldn't blame her, an unborn baby, for doing what we all do, trying to survive. Over the years, I taught her to control her semblance, and over time we unlocked her true ability. She doesn't just sap aura from others, she can transfer it too. It turned out her power, which had seemed like such a curse, could be a force of good as well. She had large reserve of aura already, and so she shared some of it with her brother, and he began to thrive.
So she can take aura from one person and give it to another, Coco asked. Maybe that's why she had gotten so much trouble against those goons in the city, and why it seemed like Carmine wasn't taking any damage in the wasteland. Gil transferred aura to their fighters to make them even more fun. Make them even stronger. Finn looked horrified.
That's not possible. She'd never do that. What about Jax?
Son asked.
So when he suddenly had some aura to work with, he figured out a semblance allows him to manipulate people's minds?
Finn shook his head.
Like I said, Jax doesn't have a semblance. Or maybe he never told you about it. That sounds just like him, I'm afraid.
Finn gazed off into the distance. Sun followed his attention to a picture of the twins on the wall. They looked like happy, normal kids, not psychopaths with delusions of grandeur.
Jax always was charming.
That's me every time I look at pictures of the Smash Bros. Club at my school.
Before Jillian began transferring aura to him, all he had was a sharp mind and clever tongue. But afterwards, it did seem like he could get anyone to do anything he wanted.
Bella frowned. Even convince his sister to drop out of school and help him take over back, you know?
By the brothers.
Said Finn, lowering his head.
What have they become?
The king and queen, if they get what they want, Coco said. Or maybe just what Jax wants.
It's kind of weird implications for a brother-sister duo. Save this for the weird enabler fix.
I hate how that's what the ship is called. Like, I mean, yeah, but like...
Oh, I met one of the... I don't know if she's still in the server, but I actually met the girl who coined it.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. I love the idea of just... What's the ship name? Abuse.
Yato actually could free Jill from her brother's influence if he can get close to her, Sun said. Oh.
He didn't know the big guy well, but he knew he could do it. He was powerful beyond words.
Who's Yatsuhashi?
Asked Finn, raising his head. He's our friend, Velvet said. She blew the bangs out of her eyes, all that's cute. Who's currently undercover with the Crown. He can shake Jax's control over people, Coco explained. And I'm hoping that means he can't be affected by Jax either. But about Gil's semblance. Now I messed up. Jill's semblance. She needs physical contact to transfer aura, right? Finn nodded.
It'll gradually fade, of course, just like your regular aura. These warriors, they're gathering. She can only increase their aura on contact, and if she's been taking aura from people, she would have had to keep them close at all times. They're just batteries for her.
Sun said bitterly. Those were people. And they were people he knew, imprisoned underground. What's the deal with dust? Velvet asked suddenly. At the club, no weapons that use dust are allowed, and they're not interested in recruiting people with semblances that rely on dust. Finn scowled.
Dust is a symbol of Vakuo's downfall. We never had it in our house, and we don't rely on anything that uses it, including scrolls.
He realized he was still holding Coco's scroll and passed it back to her, casting one last wistful glance at his daughter, the would-be queen.
You were leaving as we arrived. Where were you going and why?
Finn grimaced.
Jax and Jillian's old teammates from Shade came to visit me this morning. Rosa Schwein and Argento Pocron. Really? The pig guy is named Pokeron? They told me they had heard from Jax and Jill, and they were delivering a message from them to meet them in Vale. That's weird. Unless they just wanted to get you out of the town for some reason. They also said that if anyone had come around asking about the twins, I'm afraid I gave them your name.
Finn said. Neptune looked stricken. Can you describe their friend Argento? Coco asked with a concerned look in Neptune's direction.
I don't have to. He and Rosa are in that video with my daughter.
Finn took the scroll back from Coco and swiped at the screen. Then he showed it to her. Argento was a pig faunist in a brown jumpsuit.
Brown!
Sun said. We fought that guy, Coco said. If he and Schwein lied to you about Jackson and Jill's whereabouts, it had to be on your children's orders. It seemed to pain her. But she said the same thing another way, just to be sure Finn took it in. Your children wanted those two to lie to you.
Maybe they just wanted you to leave for your own protection.
Sun suggested. From what? Coco asked. The teams exchanged glances. They said nothing in TeamSpeak or otherwise. Then, almost as one, they moved for the door. Sun was the one to speak to Finn. After he'd left him the last time, it was the least he could do. He stretched his arms out towards the man.
Thank you, Mr. A. I know this is difficult for you because you care about your kids, but I think you better come back with us. Theo will want to talk to you.
He extended a hand to help him up. Finn sighed.
I suppose you wouldn't take no for an answer, so I'll do what I can to assist, though I'm no fan of Theodore's.
He looked around his house.
One more thing. They told me to hurry.
Soon they were out the door and halfway down the street, catching up with the others.
Do we buy his story?
Fox sent.
Like he said, everything's
Sun replied.
just a story in the end. Some of them, too many of them, are sad stories. I believe him.
Me too, Coco said. And if we trust everything he said, we have to get back to Shade Academy right now.
And that's where we'll leave it off for today. Oh
Sorry for leaving you with all that dialogue.
Oh my god! I mean, even after that, it was my throat is dry as hell right now.
Apologies. I'll read the next 2 chapters to make it up to you.
Yeah, I know Rosa Schwein means pink pig. Yeah, I speak. Ich spreche sie Deutsch. Ich spreche Deutsch. Bisschen Deutsch, aber ich spreche. It is so weird how I can speak better Japanese now than I ever spoke German. And I've had 7 years of German language training. Why not just call Ruby an X Sunflower? Because I think the pretense was that like Yang would just keep giving Ruby cookies and that kind of stuff, and that was the enabling. Something goofy like that. I will thank the writers for the crown being their own thing. Not every single villain has to be related to Salem. Yeah, I'm actually very happy with that. Although, watch, we're going to learn that he was influenced, like whispers in his ears by Salem, that kind of bullshit.
Well, I Control F for Salem and found no results.
What? Oh, really? Well, no, the thing is, it doesn't need to be Salem. It could be like, oh, there was this woman came to me in my dreams and told me these things. Something bullshit like that. I honestly thought Carmine and her partner.
I looked up Roman to see if there was any references, and I guess this is like the afterword or something. It's talking about Genlock.
Oh, there's an afterwards?
And like there's like an advertisement for Genlock at the end, and there's a character named Valentino Romanicin. Like it's some Polish name. You can't pronounce it.
Oh, which character was that?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. It's Genlock.
Why are they making a Genlock novelization for all 3 people who wrote Genlock, who watched Genlock?
Yeah, and that includes the 4 people that watched it on my stream. One of them ended up dying. No. Marcos is already all for one. Don't you think it's a bit excessive to make another all for one in the form of Jill? I mean, it's a little bit different. Marcus Black was all for one of Semblance, and she's the all for one of Aura, which is a distinction enough, I think. What did you do? Carmine was based on. I honestly thought Carmine and her partner Bertolek worked for Watts due to his first name being Arthur. King Arthur and all. Huh. I forgot. It was mentioned earlier, but Carmine is based on the Red Knight or something like that from Arthurian lore. It's funny you brought up the cookie thing, Raymond, because I know it's hinted by the fandom and RWBY that Ruby has a sweet tooth, but we have never seen her eat. What we have literally episode 1. She ate an entire.
Yeah, that's how it opens.
Like literally, her first a plate of cookies is set down in front of her by Ozpin, and she like takes one very cautious cookie, eats it, and then it's like one of the most awkwardly animated things in the entire series.
Yeah. Let's see, no references to Watts, no references to Tyrion. I think we might be in the clear. Who else could there be a reference to? Hazel? You guys remember Hazel?
It just feels weird because it feels like we're actually wrapping up this side chapter already, and it feels like it doesn't have any relevant. Like on one hand, it's like great, it doesn't have any relevance to the main plot. But on the other hand, it doesn't have any relevance to the main plot. Why are we caring about this so much? It's not like we're here for the characters.
What are we here for? What are we here for?
Oh Lord. Well, I am exhausted from this. I had a dentist appointment today, and that was a little bit draining. I'm gonna kick off and relax. So I will thank every single one of you for watching. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you enjoyed the commentary along the way and all the fun shenanigans that we got into. I hope you enjoyed the Tiny Weiss and the Small Marn.
Small Marn.
Yes, Small Marn. I feel like Tiny Marn is like too repetitive of Tiny Weiss. We gotta come up with a better name for Plushy Marn.
Mini Marn.
Mini Marn. Yes, Mini Marn. Perfect. Tiny Weiss and Mini Marn. We are here for the Bunny Girl. I hope we got enough Bunny Girl for you guys. They're trying to ship Sun and Velvet to get him out of the way for Bumblebee. Well, it's already got competition.
You know what? Sun deserves it.
Honestly, yeah, he deserves a good girl because he's like a good guy, and they've been trying to slander him this entire book. But yes.
Oh, my girlfriend's really happy about Mini Marn.
Yes, Mini Marn. All right.
Love you.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next stream.